Halloween with You, an Adrienette one-shot based on the Miraculous Ladybug series. Huh? What's that sound? Halloween morning. Adrien sat up, rubbing his eyes as he tried to identify what he was hearing. As the sound came more and more into focus, he could hear Marinette singing along to songs from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Of course. Slightly off key every now and then, but she always sounded beautiful. He could also hear her feet tapping to the rhythm. Louder than a tap, actually. Was she dancing? He couldn't help but chuckle at the realization. Her dancing wasn't great either. She'd usually just move from side to side with a swing of her hips deciding which way she was going to go next. And her hands would attempt the grace of a ballerina, with attempt being the key word there. And occasional conducting with the music. He let out a sigh of contentment. Perfect. Being mindful of the bed creaking, Adrien slowly stood up and tiptoed to the door, taking a peek through the small opening. Yep, she was a goof. But she was his goof. She was his silly, talented, amazing, over-the-top goof. A beautiful one at that. The way her hair shifted with her movements. And the smile in her voice. Magic. Exiting the bedroom, Adrien glided across the wooden floor, holding his breath so as to be as invisible as possible. He had to do it. Marinette was asking for it. As she headed for the kitchen, so did he. One chance. She was standing right there, back turned. The one day of the year, vulnerable to monstrous and ghostly predators, and the cat of the night man of her dreams, of course. No awareness of her audible and visual surroundings. All he had to do now was just get a little closer. Just a little bit more. Almost. Now to just reach for her waist and... breakfast's on the table. Adrien's heart leaped out of his chest as he retracted his hands and jumped back in a panic. Jesus! Warn a man next time! Look who's talking, bedhead, she said, turning around and ruffling his hair even more. Man, I was so close too. Why do you still have to be Ladybug 24/7? Probably because my husband's a sneaky chat noir any chance he gets. He sighed. Fair point. Slumping in defeat, he made his way to the dining room, only now feeling the growls from his stomach. Taking a seat, he picked up the stainless steel cloche off the plate. That smells great. Freshly made this morning, Marinette said, bringing a cup of black tea to complement the croissants sitting on his plate. He'd been on a diet for the last 2 weeks for his modeling gig, so he was practically smelling heaven. Baker's daughter, the absolute best. Without wasting another second, he began devouring them with the occasional sip of tea. Well, less sipping and more slurping. What could he do? His taste buds were asking for it. It had been no longer than 5 minutes and Adrien had already scoffed down 6 more croissants. And another cup of tea. Wow. He hadn't realized just how hungry he'd been until his stomach actually felt full. All right, I have to go get ready. Can't be late for the meeting with Father. He stood up and headed towards the bedroom to suddenly feel Marinette's hands wrap around him. I know, you have to go, but... Before she could finish, Adrien spun around and cupped her cheeks, brushing her lips with his. I don't want to go either, sweetheart, but having a bossy designer of a dad leaves me no choice, he said, wrapping his arms around her waist and pulling her in. Wait for me? Always. Freshening up, Adrien gave Marinette one last hug, taking in her scent as much as possible, followed by a quick peck. He forced himself out of the house and into his car, already missing her warmth as he drove off. Adrien stepped out of the car, satisfaction washing over him to have finally reached home. As he waddled his way towards the house, he caught a glimpse through his half-closed eyes, a dull glow. Pumpkins? When did she get the time to carve these out? The features were cut out perfectly, with a fake candle illuminating them. Impressive. He opened the door, ready to kick off his shoes and fall face first onto the sofa. Adrien gasped. The house was a complete transformation compared to how he'd seen it this morning. From pirate skeletons nonchalantly chilling on said sofa, to incredibly realistic spider webs all around the ceiling. How did she manage to pull this off? This woman was absolutely mind-blowing. Impressed? Marinette stepped out from the kitchen. More than impressed. How did you do this? Let's just say I'm a woman of many talents, she said, shooting him a smirk that caught his breath. Indeed you are, milady. This is amazing. Adrien wrapped his arms around her. What about your costume, Bugaboo? I think I've worn enough costumes, don't you? He chuckled as he took her hand and led her to the center of the room. Grabbing the remote, he switched on the audio system. Dance with me? With his arms on her waist and hers draped over his shoulders, he swayed to the music, guiding her along the floor. He looked into her gorgeous Caribbean blue eyes as she looked into his. Do you have any idea how much I love you? Not more than me, that's for sure. Is that a challenge? Maybe. He pulled her in and placed a soft kiss on her temple. He was spending a perfect Halloween with the woman of his dreams. There was no way he could be happier. Thank you guys so much for listening. This was an Adrienette one-shot based on the Miraculous Ladybug series. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts and suggestions if you have them. If you'd like to stay tuned for future videos, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post. Until the next time,